Hey everybody, it's Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. Let's talk about our elevated thunderstorms, which are almost done out there tonight, and we're looking ahead to Thursday because potentially we're going to have some more ice around the area. So let's go right to first warn Doppler radar, show you what's going on tonight. Obviously, a whole bunch of rain pushing off to the east. I mean, we've got just tons of rain coming from Lancaster, Chesterfield, Union, and again, cloud to ground lightning out there. This is not unheard of this time of year. It's kind of what we expected with this elevated nature. What's interesting is temperatures down at the surface are, in the upper 30s to low 40s. These storms are feeding off of warm air aloft, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But most areas, I'm going to put the temperatures on here real quickly just to show you where the temperatures are. You can see generally upper 30s, even where there's some bigger storms towards Cheraw, it's in the mid 40s right now. This is obviously part of a bigger system, the big obviously winter storm, which is moving through the Ohio Valley. We're kind of on the warm side. I say we're kind of on the warm side because even though it's somewhat warmer here compared to the Arctic air west, it's not exactly warm. It's 39 in Charlotte, 65 in Charleston. The real warm air is over Florida. You see the Arctic air and just crazy temperatures. I mean, all-time record low temperatures likely going to be set in many locations across Texas, and crazy power outage issues, just nuts. So what happened tonight with the loud thunder? You've heard me talk a lot about this before. We had a really strong temperature inversion setting up today. So we had warm air aloft. In fact, if you go up to around 5,000 feet, the temperature is in the low 50s. Down here at the ground, it's in the upper 30s. So we've got a huge disparity between what's at the ground and what's aloft. The thunderstorms are feeding off this warm air up here, but when the lightning occurs, the thunder is the sound that lightning makes, you get really loud thunder, and it bounces back and forth between that inversion. Very long distances, sounds like rolling thunder, and it's really super loud. In fact, let me show you real quickly the sounding. So this is what the weather balloon gives us. The weather balloons are launched twice a day up in Greensboro. You can see down at the surface, this red line is the temperature profile from the ground to when the balloon pops, or the top of the atmosphere. Down here at the ground, the sounding had a 36 degrees Fahrenheit at the surface, but up here at 1 kilometer, or 850 millibars, which is roughly around 5,000 feet or so, give or take a couple hundred feet, it was 52 degrees. So super warm above our heads. So the thunderstorm was building in this warmer air up here. There's actually a little bit of CAPE, we call it, which is fuel for thunderstorms. While down here underneath it, it was really cold. In fact, the sounding briefly went below freezing just off the surface and came back down. So we were probably getting some pretty cold rain coming down. Didn't have time to freeze and to sleep, but just goes to show you what a crazy setup this is. And this is how you get thunderstorms in the winter. The disparity temperature from the ground up here is still the same. It's just it's aloft, it's elevated, we call it. So thunderstorms basically need instability. Warmer at the bottom, colder air at the top. In this case, the warmer air was at 5,000 feet and the colder air was even higher up. So we were able to get thunderstorms even though the surface temperatures were pretty mild, or pretty cold, I should say. So let's take a look at what's going to happen here in the next 24 hours. We're going to see this whole mess move out. We're actually going to see this thing called the sun tomorrow. Don't freak out. It's going to look beautiful. First time we've seen sun since last Thursday, and maybe the first widespread sun since last Tuesday, which was, remember, 67 and gorgeous. Now, going into Wednesday, clouds increase, but our next system approaches. And I'm going to show you the close-up view first, and I'll get into the setup for this. But cold air is going to be filtering in on these northeast winds. You kind of see them here coming in this direction. At the same time, warm, humid air is going to try to ride up and over it. But this go around, the air is pretty cold and pretty dry going into Wednesday night, Thursday morning. So my concern, that was too quick. My concern is we're going to see some icing pretty far south this time. I'm not sold that it's going to be all the way down to Charlotte or the South Carolina border, but Interstate 40 for sure, this potentially could be a more significant icing event than what we had this past weekend. You can see our guidance is bringing it pretty far south, and that's still a possibility. That's why I probably need to stay very weather aware on Thursday morning, because that potential is certainly there. I'll kind of show you this setup again, a little wider view as the system approaches and what's driving all this. I'm going to stop it right about here, and you can see this high pressure up here. Clockwise flow is pumping in cold, dry air. Now remember, there's going to be snow on the ground from this storm hitting today and yesterday, and Arctic air, so this air is a lot colder. The other thing, the track of this low is a little bit further south than the storm that's going past us right now. If you look at the track of this low, it's way up to the north. The next system, watch the track of the low. It's a much further south, not down to the Gulf of Mexico, which was where we need it for snow, but far enough south that it brings the cold air much more in play here. on Thursday. So for that reason, you're starting to see some of the ice probabilities go up for Thursday morning. So here's a look at those probabilities. And again, the thing you need to look for here, the blue is kind of the 40 to 50% line. That's a pretty high probability. Once you get up there, 40, 50, 60, 70% of a tenth of an inch of ice, that's pretty significant. And even around Charlotte, again, it's not zero, but it's like 1% in southern part of the county and getting close to 20 to 30% for the northern part of the county. So we're definitely bringing in more areas further south potentially with some ice. Now, I'm going to show you what I'm thinking right now because I haven't adjusted this much, but this is kind of what I'm thinking Wednesday night into Thursday. But I'm starting to see the trends of things shifting south and being colder, which I mean, this is all shifting south, so that's going to bring the heavier ice with it as well. So I'm tempted to bring the heavier ice into the foothills, and I'm going to show you why. This is one of the models we use, short range guidance, that we run here in-house every 3 hours. And again, I want to show you what happens Wednesday night, Thursday morning, because it's getting very bullish with heavy ice. And we're talking probably quarter inch when you get to that purple range. So that's much more of a problem right there for Thursday morning. Again, primarily Thursday morning. So I'm getting a little wary of that setup for Thursday morning. So that's certainly something we're going to have to watch very carefully for Thursday morning, because potentially this could be probably the most significant ice threat we've had for our area and maybe for a larger area. So just pay attention to the weather on Thursday. This is going to be an interesting setup going into Thursday. But enjoy the sun the next couple of days. It's going to be nice. We haven't seen it for a while. It's going to be closer to 50 degrees as well, so at least it'll feel and look nicer. And stay tuned. I'm going to do another vlog tomorrow, and we'll talk about this ice setup for Thursday. But it's definitely trending a little bit colder and icier than it was just 24 hours ago.